Okay, so picture this. You're in a mall, right? But it's not just any mall. It's got over 1,200 stores. Like, seriously, who needs that much retail therapy?
Yeah, talk about shopping overload.
Exactly. But that's Dubai. They don't do anything small scale. And this mall, it's kind of a perfect symbol of what we're diving into today. This whole idea of extravagant ambition built in the middle of the desert.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, so we've got this piece. It's called Texto Pagado. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I did, yeah. And just that title, right? Pasted text. It's like right off the bat, it's making you question how real this city actually is.
Right. Is it organic or manufactured?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the whole Dubai story is pretty mind-blowing.
Totally. I mean, to go from fishing villages to, like, the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world, that's a wild transformation.
Yeah, and Texto Pagado does a really good job of capturing that sense of awe, but also that skepticism.
Right.
Like, is this model sustainable? Can you really build an entire city on luxury and expect it to last?
Especially in such an unforgiving environment, right? You've got the desert heat, the lack of natural resources.
Exactly. It takes a lot of resource, a lot of ingenuity to create something like that.
Yeah.
But the source makes a really interesting point, which is that Dubai's leaders, they were actually quite strategic about this. They knew oil wealth wasn't going to last forever.
Oh, absolutely. They were already thinking about diversifying the economy way back when.
Right. So how did they do it? How do you go from oil to, like, a global business hub in just a few decades? What's the secret sauce?
Well, tourism is definitely a huge part of it. They basically went all in on creating a luxury destination, something completely over the top to attract the ultra-wealthy.
And it worked, right? Like, Dubai is a huge tourist destination now. People flock there from all over the world.
Yeah, but Texto Pagado also points out this interesting paradox, which is that there's a lot of emptiness amidst all this opulence. Like, you have these luxury apartment buildings that are standing half empty.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's true. And it makes you wonder, like, if they build it and nobody comes, is it really a success story?
That's a good question. It's like they're selling a vision and aspiration. But what happens when reality sets in? Like, who's bearing the true cost of creating this mirage in the desert?
Right.
It's like they fast forwarded through the whole building a real city part and went straight for the shock and awe factor.
And that brings up a point that Texto Pagado really doesn't shy away from. The human cost.
Yeah, the article definitely doesn't sugarcoat that.
No, it goes right into their reliance on migrant labor and the conditions those workers face. And it's not a pretty picture.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget about that when you're just looking at the shiny facade. You know?
Totally. It's like out of sight, out of mind. But this source makes you confront it. These are the people building those skyscrapers, enduring those extreme temperatures. And for what?
Yeah.
Often for wages that would be unthinkable in other parts of the world.
It's a huge ethical question mark for sure. And it's not just the labor practices, right?
Yeah.
There's also the environmental impact to think about.
Oh, absolutely. Creating an oasis in the desert, it takes a massive amount of resources.
Like, how much water are we talking about here?
Texto Pagado actually breaks down the numbers on the desalination plants they have to run just to provide fresh water. The energy consumption is mind-boggling.
Wow. And then you've got the AC running constantly to combat that heat. It's like this whole other layer of environmental cost.
Exactly. And that gets to the heart of what makes Dubai such a fascinating case study. It's not just about whether their economic model can attract investors and tourists. It's about whether it's even sustainable in the long run.
Right. For the planet and for the people who are actually making this dream a reality. It's not just a philosophical question. It's a real material one.
Exactly. And what makes Texto Pagado so interesting is that it doesn't just present this as a black and white issue, like Dubai is bad, end of story.
I'm picking up on that, yeah. It's more nuanced.
Way more. It's about the complexities, the contradictions that make this city what it is.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Well, it talks about this interesting cultural blend you have going on, like, under the surface.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so you have this, like, ultra-modern, globalized city, right? But it's also still super rooted in its Islamic heritage.
Okay.
And that, like, influences everything, from architecture and laws to, like, even social customs.
Wow. So it's like they're trying to be two things at once.
Exactly.
A playground for the world, but also a place where these more traditional values still matter.
Yeah. And the article actually has some really interesting real-world examples of how that tension plays out.
Oh, that's cool. Does it cause any problems? Or is it more like just this fascinating kind of paradox?
I mean, it's definitely both. But it all kind of leads to this central question that the piece keeps coming back to, Is Dubai an illusion or the future? Like, is this model something other cities can actually learn from? Or is it ultimately just unsustainable, like a fleeting spectacle in the desert?
Right, because you can't just create a city out of nothing and expect it to last forever.
Exactly.
There's got to be more to it than that.
Yeah, and I love that Texto Pregado doesn't try to give us like a simple answer. Like it leaves us wrestling with those complexities and contradictions.
Which is more interesting on them.
Way more. Because Dubai defies easy categorization.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Absolutely.
We're not just getting like a travel brochure, right? We're really grappling with like what this city's existence even means. Like for the future of urban development, for the environment, for the people who live and work there. It's making me think about cities in a whole new way.
Me too. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Texto Pegado doesn't give us all the answers, but it gives us a framework for understanding these issues.
That's like a launch pad for more thinking.
Exactly. Like it forces us to confront the true cost of progress and ask ourselves, what kind of future are we building for ourselves?
That is deep point. Well said. That about wraps it up for this deep dive into Dubai.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
If you're as intrigued by this city of contradictions as we are, head over to our social media and share your thoughts using #DubaiDeepDive. We'd love to hear your take. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, keep diving deep.